course it fell over. All right. Video that I've been meaning to make for a while. I made a short, maybe a couple shorts about it, but it's an important topic on covert narcissists, which I'll get to in a minute. First, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because it's free and it doesn't cost you anything. And this is a no-frills, unapologetically truthful channel that helps people that YouTube doesn't like because, I challenge the status quo, and I'm not a corporatist, and, I'm also in the occult, all kinds of things. Demisexual, they don't like that because it's all about hookup culture. I'm a guy who fights for women's rights and calls out the Good Old Boys Club, and YouTube's run by the Good Old Boys Club, even though the creator of it is a member of the LGBTQ community, whose mother was actually my second grade teacher. I remember his YouTube as an idea in the 90s. We all thought it was nuts. Guess the impossible just takes longer. Hey Chad, give me some money. But anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If these videos have been helpful to you and you want to support the channel and tip me, like a bartender who gave you good advice, links in the about section. Or, if you want to spell, contact me on Instagram. Depends what you want and what information you have. We got to go from there. Everything's a little unique in that case, and depends what type of magic you're looking for, or if it's even possible. Covert narcissists. Why do covert narcissists, particularly covert narcissistic males, because covert narcissism is much more prevalent in males than females, and the reverse would be borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder, far more prevalent in females. Not exclusive, but we're talking about covert, so we're going to say males, because I've encountered very few covert females. Usually plenty of borderlines, was raised by one, dated one a long time ago. I didn't know about any of this stuff that, got a titanium knee for my trouble. Anyway, covert narcissists. Why do they target empathic women as partners? And there's a lot of reasons for that. Understand that deep down, a covert narcissist knows their own inadequacies. They know they're not superior. They convince themselves they believe their own lies, but it's a bravado game. It's them trying to be something they're not. It's their need to feel superior, and in order to do that, they have to put other people down and keep other people down that genuinely have greater potential than them. Like growing up, a covert narcissist would be a bully. If there's like a pretty boy, empathic male, those are pretty rare. I'm saying like an INFJ male or an ENFJ male, particularly an INFJ male, because ENFJs are so extroverty and have that natural charisma. INFJs, we learn it over time, but as children, we're very introverted. And if you're an INFJ male who was raised by a borderline mother, you have confidence issues. Anyway, so, coverts will bully males they see as threats growing up, but we're focusing on adults and relationships here. So one of the reasons they target empathic women is to make them tolerable. Coverts, while they're very good at being fake, they're very good, they come off, I would say, like, to make it descriptive, like a sleazy politician. Like, they know how to wheel and deal. Like Ollie Matthews would say about his father, who's a covert narcissist. They're the ultimate salesman. They're very good at sales. They're very drawn at sales. They are natural and gifted bullshitters, which means they're good liars, too. They are very good at telling people what they want to hear. They are very good at pretending to be something they're not. A lot of them become actors. But a lot of people see through it because while they can come off as charming, you can tell it's very fake. A lot of times it's not convincing, at least not for long periods of time, But they're very good at the act. They're good, at least in public, not breaking character. All right? Now, that being said, they know people talk about them behind their backs, about who they really are. So they have to muddy the water. So how can some greasy, sleazy, lying covert who's an average looking guy, because most coverts are average looking guys. Overt narcissists, you'll see guys, you know, that look like models and stuff, and guys that are trust fund babies. Coverts are typically average guys obsessed with like keeping up with the Joneses, obsessed with this superiority complex. So by targeting an empathic woman, typically one that's a little out of their league, looks wise, like I'd say most common from what I encountered, you'll see like a covert male who's like 5 or 6, always with women that are like 7 or 8, and it's like, you know, it's like how'd that happen? And the answer is always, oh, right place, right time. Like, let me guess, and he wouldn't take no for an answer, and he isolated her, and yeah, she was probably lonely, maybe just came out of a breakup. Yeah, how'd you know? I've seen this more times than I can count. Well, not really that many times, but dozens of times nonetheless. So, the reason they do this is empathic women, particularly my favorite type, ENFJ women, are naturally charismatic. Everybody likes them, everybody's drawn to them because they're genuinely empathic, they're very sweet, they do care and feel about other people's emotions, and they are constantly trying to cheer other people up. They're glass half full, you know, give it time, always try to see the good in a situation. So the covert's drawn to that because they want to feed off of that. They think, see, if I'm paired with this person, y'all can't, you know, you all have to at least be partially wrong about me, see, because y'all like her, and, you know, if I'm so bad, this wouldn't put up with me. But sadly, as I've talked about in other videos, check out my ENFJ playlist, ENFJs do, despite being, you know, in my opinion, the most amazing people, have some fatal flaws that are exploited by narcissists, and it's the reason why they're the most targeted personality type by narcissists. And that is, number one, it's particularly true for ENFJ women under 30, they struggle to say no. No matter how much they would feel uncomfortable about doing something, they are people pleasers who can't say no. Probably the most famous example of this, Emilia Clarke season 1 of Game of Thrones nude scenes. Go read her interview. It makes me emotional, but I got a soft spot for Emilia Clarke. She's the only celebrity I have a soft spot for. And the other thing that that ENFJ women, particularly younger ENFJ women who haven't become empowered yet, struggle with, is once the narcissist gets their hooks in, they may figure it out, or at least partially figure it out, or, you know, have their friends and family screaming at them about what the covert really is. They fear change. Change is ENFJs are creatures of habit. They like routine. And that launching into the unknown terrifies them. INFJs aren't afraid of that, because we're like, what's the worst is going to happen? I'll end up being a hermit. I'm a hermit like half the time anyway. And because, you know, ENFJs typically have a large circle of friends, coverts are drawn to that as well, because everything with a covert is about them connecting, building that sphere of influence, fooling more people. Because to a covert, their career comes before anything. And usually a covert will make their career seem way more important than it is. Like, I've seen coverts that, you know, are legitimately successful. They run like landscaping companies, but they act like they're saving the world. It's like, well, at the end of the day, nobody really needs you. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're making decent money, but, you know, sales too. Covert sales managers are some of the worst. And it's like, bro, like, you sell, you know, jet skis, nobody needs them. Or you sell overpriced suits, or, you know, you sell luxury cars. Yeah, you're good at it, but these aren't essential things. You're not a nurse, you're not a cop, you're not a firefighter, you're not a doctor, you're not, you know, like really doing the important shit that makes an impact in people's lives. But, oh, and coverts, a lot of times they're drawn to big companies, and they are the epitome of the company man, because they want to be at the top of that like inner world. They fully embrace like corporate culture, company culture, because they see that as basically a continuation of their heyday. Coverts do very well in the high school environment, isolated, things don't function like they do in the real world. Well, some companies are like that too, and they see that as the continuation, like them being the ultimate company man, doing everything to connect, to network, to climb that corporate ladder. That's like them, regaining their prom king crown, even though, they're not like usually not the best looking dude. They're usually, like 5 or 6s. But worse yet, why they target empathic women is to keep them down. A lot of covert narcissists are misogynists. So, they see themselves as, I know best, you should do what you're told, you're, lucky I chose you, I'm so great, I could have anyone I want, I could be dating celebrities. I'm talking about myself, I'm talking about a covert. That kind of guy. Like, oh, I could replace you like that, all I do for you. And it's always vague like that. They'll never get into specifics about what they've done. Everything. What's everything? Narcissists love being vague like that in general. But they target these women who are empathic, who people like, who are also better looking than them, to control them, to keep them down, because they see them as a threat. It's not, oh, the girl's so lucky to have the covert. No, it's the other way around, because he has to keep the talents, and the charisma and the likability and the work ethic and the integrity of the empathic woman down so she doesn't surpass him. And he does that by breaking her confidence, making her doubt herself, twisting her whole worldview so it centers around him, so that she believes, at least partially, that she can't function without him, and that being at his side is basically the only way she's going to make it in the world. And if she were to go off on her own, she'd fall flat on her face without his influence, without his connection. This is particularly true if they're in the same industry. Those are like some of the, toughest chains to break. I've done it, but it's difficult. And that all just feeds the covert more. As they climb higher and higher, they want the empathic female to doubt themselves and to stay stagnant, to make them believe that the status quo they have currently with the covert is the best they can ever hope for. And also, they target these women because, particularly ENFJs, when they're in love, like INFJs, I can relate to this one very well, they give all of themselves. It's an all or nothing kind of thing. And this happens not even just with coverts, but a lot of ENFJ women get sucked into relationships where they fall in love, they want unconditional love more than anything, as do INFJs. It's something we have in common, and they're giving all of themselves to this relationship, and they're trying. Now this is something where ENFJs differ. They think they can change this person, they think there's potential there, because they don't want to face the reality of what they are, or accept like they wasted 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, and walk away. Meanwhile, the covert, she's just a trophy. She's just a means to an end. Covert narcissists typically, especially for their career, move around a lot. So she's just a trophy while he's in that area. As soon as he can climb his ladder, his corporate ladder, get some kind of advancement that'll give him more money, or more importantly than money to them, more, status, I'm Mr. Big Shot, he'll discard her like nothing, be on his way. Happens all the time. And then of course everybody will see him for who he truly is, but he could be 2, 3 states away in a different country, what have you. She served her purpose. She was his trophy, his slave girl, while he was at this stage, or this rung of his ladder. And when it was time to climb, it's like, I don't need you anymore. Yeah. Sad but true. But they serve as this catalyst to make them tolerable. Covert narcissistic men use empathic women to try to mask who they really are more so, and to make them tolerable, particularly in networking too, because it's like, oh, this fucking asshole, But if he's with her, it's like, oh, she's so sweet and nice, everybody likes her, then he uses her likability to get through, get through the door, get through the gatekeepers, and then goes about being his sleazy, greasy self. Because it's like, oh, you served your purpose, that kind of thing. That is the sad and awful truth of why covert narcissists typically target empathic women. So I'm sorry if it got a little dark. Truth sometimes is. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please like and subscribe, and send me a tip. Come on, inflation sucks. Also, if you are in this situation, understand you do not need the narcissist. You are likely stronger than you know. Listen to the people who truly care about you. Sit down by yourself, figure out what you really want, and embrace that desire, because no matter what the narcissist says, you have free will. Thanks to Lilith.